Hello, my name is Sydney Taylor, and I have a degree in applied behavior analysis, which means that I can create and shape behavior change. I'm here to teach you how to create and shape your own behaviors. So, before we get started with identifying what behavior we want to change, it's important that we look at our history. What is important is the last time that you tried to change or shape this behavior, what happened? And it's not everything, it's not the whole plan. However, it is important because it lets us know what happens when there is not a plan in place or if the plan fails us. So before we can get started, different behaviors that we could change to work to create or shape would be increasing our duration of exercise. Maybe you want to exercise for 10 minutes instead of 5 minutes. Or maybe we want to change the frequency of how often we go to the gym. Instead of it being 0, we want to increase that to 5. Or maybe instead of it being 4, we want to increase that, or we want to just maintain that same level. Another example of a behavior we could change in regards to health and wellness and fitness would be creating better sleep factors, better sleep variables that will allow you to remain asleep for longer. Or also just meditation. Adding meditation to your world is also really great for your health. It helps you detach from the world. It also helps regulate stress. So these are just examples of behavior change that we can do. So we've talked about why it's important to look at our history. We've talked about a couple examples of behavior change regards to health and fitness. Now what's important is looking at where we are currently. That is going to teach us, really give us the information to let us know where we want to go. What results do we want? So the reason why that's important is because let's say we want to increase your frequency of at the gym, which is something I've been working on with another friend. So right now, that frequency, how often you go throughout the week, throughout the month. Let's look at a week. A lot of people can identify with like setting a goal for in 7 days. So let's say we want to increase gym frequencies. What that would look like is your baseline. Your baseline right now could be 0 if you don't go at all. Maybe it's once or twice a week, but it's not consistent enough. So what we would do is we have this baseline. That's important information because I'm not going to say, all right, we're going to increase the frequency of you at the gym. Let's set a goal for 10 times in a week, right? That sounds pretty unreasonable if we're starting at 0. For all of a sudden in 7 days, you need to hit 10. That's not a reasonable goal. And the reason I wanted to give that example is because in order for us to have these goals that are attainable, they have to be reasonable. And in order for them to be reasonable, we have to look at our baseline. So maybe if we're starting, we want to increase our frequency at the gym. Right now, that number is 0. A practical goal would be once to twice a week. 1 is really the best goal. If you hit 2, if you hit 3 times a week, that's great. But 1 is the goal. And what that is going to allow you to do, or anybody, if this is your goal and we're just starting from 0 to 1, it's going to allow you to hit your goal. It's going to be very easy to hit the goal. What that teaches you is like, oh, it's super easy for me to engage in going to the gym behavior. The last time I did it, I hit my goal. It was so easy. And that's important because when you are setting these goals, small steps are the way. Right. I just gave an example of 0 times going to the gym in a week to 10 times. That is unreasonable. It's unpractical. And if you set an unreasonable, unpractical goal, it doesn't feel good when you don't reach it. It doesn't feel good that I didn't reach my goal. Right. However, if you set small, very small increment goals, the likelihood that you reach the goal increases, and it feels good to reach the goal. So the next time I ask you, hey, it's time for us to work on increasing gym frequency, how often we go a week, because you hit your goal so easily last week of just going to the gym 1 time, you are more likely to engage in that same behavior because you were successful. So that is a big key to behavior change. I know it seems very easy. It seems very like, well, duh. But it's not, because a lot of times we will have these super huge, unattainable goals and we set ourselves up for failure. So then the next time you think about wanting to change that particular behavior, you have this negative feeling associated with it because you didn't hit it the last time. And that doesn't feel good. And that's something that is hard for us to maybe put into words, or we're not really sometimes able to fully explain. So that's a huge step. So we have to do small goals. Another key element that we really need to look at is, what are we measuring? Are we measuring the frequency of how many times we're going to the gym? Are we measuring the duration of how long we're staying in the gym, or maybe how long you stay on an exercise bike, or how long you engage in yoga? So that's also going to be super important, because when we're looking at that, again, the measurable goal, and it needs to be attainable. I'm not going to ask you to go from 0 minutes to 60 minutes. It does need to be something where we can really identify what that goal is. And I can give you different tips on which will lead you to that goal, which will set you up for success, such as, for our example, frequency of going to the gym, increasing that. It's important to have yourself set up for success, meaning having your clothes ready, having your workout clothes ready, having those gym shoes ready, having your water bottle ready. Maybe you do the pre-workout before the gym, having that ready. Having these little things ready help you get you to your goal. Because let's say my goal is to go to the gym at 6 a.m. Well, I wake up at 5:15, I'm tired, I'm not as motivated that early. However, if I want to set myself up for success, the night before, I'm going to lay out my clothes. I'm going to have my water bottle ready. I've got my cucumber and lemon in my water bottle. Maybe I have a playlist ready, like what music I want to listen to. Maybe I have my favorite Beyonce song, or my favorite playlist ready. So when I get to the gym, put myself in the lockers and I just go. That way, it's a lot easier for me to engage in the behavior, because the environment is set up for me to be successful. I hope that you found this helpful. I'm really excited and looking forward to giving you more tips on how to maintain that behavior change. And lastly, but not least, certainly, be nice to yourself. Sometimes when we are doing behavior change and it's with ourselves, we are not as objective. We're very subjective. And I need you to be objective, because if you're looking at yourself objectively, you're going to be nicer, you're going to give yourself grace. And that's what you need for behavior change. If I want to change my behavior of increasing going to the gym, and I'm not giving myself grace, that would basically look like, me setting myself up for failure. So let's say I hate waking up early, and now I'm telling myself to wake up at 6 a.m. for the gym. That may not be attainable. It may be unreasonable. It's also not a very smart idea, because if I know myself and I know I hate waking up early, why would I tell myself to wake up early for the gym for behavior I want to increase? Right? Or another example of kind of knowing myself and giving myself that grace, being nice, is usually by Thursday, Friday, I'm not a fan of going to the gym. I've worked all week. I've given it 100% all week. So by Thursday, Friday, I'm exhausted. I don't want to go to the gym. It would not be bright for me to start my behavior change, or for me to create this criteria for me to go to the gym on a Thursday or a Friday. If anything, that is not leading me to success. So little things like that. And I know that sounds super easy and like, well, Doug, like, why would you do that? But some people really stack the cards up against themselves. So when it is time for that behavior change, it's even harder, because we're not setting ourselves up for success. I really hope you found this video helpful. I can't wait to continue working with you, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care.